The vast chamber on Nexera Prime felt cold and huge. Bright lights shone from the high ceiling, and floating holograms showed maps of stars and planets. Delegates from many alien species sat around a giant round table. Their bodies were different, some tall and thin, some covered in scales, some with hard shells or glowing crystals. Vexar, the big reptilian leader from the Dominion, sat straight in his chair. His green scales shone under the lights, and his sharp teeth showed when he spoke. Next to him was the Clindra Queen. She had many legs, and clicked them softly as she listened. Her compound eyes moved fast, watching everything. Other delegates filled the seats, some with feathers, some floating in tanks of liquid, all proud and sure of their power. In the center stood Jiun Park, the human ambassador from Earth. She was small compared to most of them. Her black hair was tied back neatly, and she wore a simple gray uniform with the Earth symbol on the chest. She looked calm, even though the room was full of powerful beings who did not like humans much. Jiun had come to give a warning. She held a small device that projected her words in many languages, so everyone could understand. Members of the Galactic Concordance, she began in a clear voice. Humans ask you to leave our colony on Epsilon Kappa alone. It is ours. We found it, we built it, we live there. If you take it by force, if you hurt our people, we will not forget. Humans will hunt those who did it. We will hunt forever. We do not stop. We do not forgive easily. The room was quiet for a moment. Then Vexar let out a deep laugh that sounded like rocks grinding together. His tail hit the floor hard. Forever? He said, his voice loud. You humans live such short lives. How can you hunt forever? Your children will be old and weak before we finish our coffee. More laughter came from around the table. The Clindra Queen made a high chittering sound, like insects in summer. Her helpers clicked in agreement. A tall crystal being from the Zorath Collective stood up. His body sparkled like broken glass in sunlight. Humans have only flown between stars for a little time, he said. 200 years? We have empires that are 10,000 years old. You have no big ships, no weapons that can break planets. You are cute, like small animals barking at giants. The laughter grew louder. Some delegates slapped their tables or waved their limbs. One small furry alien wiped tears from his many eyes. Jian did not move. Her face stayed the same. She waited until the noise died down a little. I repeat, she said slowly, if you harm our people on Epsilon Kappa, humans will come for you. Not today, not tomorrow, but we will come. We remember names, we remember faces, we remember laughs. Vexar leaned forward, his red eyes narrowed. Threats from a young species? Funny. We will take the colony because we need the rare metals there. Your miners can work for us or leave. If they fight, they die. Simple. The Clindra Queen added, your warning is empty. We have seen species like you before. They scream, then they break, then they are forgotten. You will be the same. Jian looked at each face slowly. She saw the smiles, the smirks, the bored looks. In the back row sat Min-So Kim, a young human attaché. He was quiet, with short hair and dark eyes. He held a small recorder. Every word, every laugh, every rude gesture, he saved it all. His fingers did not shake. The vote came fast. Most delegates raised hands or tentacles or lights to agree. They would send ships to Epsilon Kappa. They would take the mines. Humans were too weak to stop them. Jian spoke one last time. You choose this path. Remember our words when the time comes. Her steps were steady. The doors closed behind her with a soft hiss. Inside, the laughter started again. Vexar raised a glass of glowing liquid. "To easy victories," he shouted. The others cheered. They talked about how humans would run away or beg. They made jokes about human short lives and weak bodies. They did not notice Min-Sek still sitting quietly, recording the last cheers. Outside the chamber, Ji-Un met Min-Sek in a quiet hall. The walls were smooth and silver. Stars shone through big windows. "Did you get everything?" she asked softly. "Every second," Min-Sek answered. Their voices, their faces, their words, all saved. Ji-un nodded. Good, send it home. Let Earth know what they said. Minsek looked at her. Do you think they will listen to the warning? Ji-un stared out at the stars. No. They laughed. That is their answer. They walked away together. Behind them the council kept talking and planning. They thought the humans were finished. They thought it was over. But on Earth the message would arrive soon. People would watch the recording. They would see the laughs. They would hear the insults. And something inside many humans would wake up. Something cold, patient, and very hard to stop. The aliens on Nexera Prime went back to their normal days. They ate, slept, made deals. They forgot the small human woman and her quiet warning. They did not know it yet, but the clock had started. A long, slow clock that only humans could hear. The galaxy was big. Time was long. Humans were patient when they needed to be, and they never really forgot. The vast chamber on Nexera Prime felt cold and huge. Bright lights shone from the high ceiling, and floating holograms showed maps of stars and planets. Delegates from many alien species sat around a giant round table. Their bodies were different, some tall and thin, some covered in scales, some with hard shells or glowing crystals. Vexar, the big reptilian leader from the Dominion, sat straight in his chair. His green scales shone under the lights, and his sharp teeth showed when he spoke. Next to him was the Klindra Queen. She had many legs and clicked them softly as she listened. Her compound eyes moved fast, watching everything. Other delegates filled the seats, some with feathers, some floating in tanks of liquid, all proud and sure of their power. In the center stood G.N. Park, the human ambassador from Earth. She was small compared to most of them. Her black hair was tied back neatly, and she wore a simple gray uniform with the Earth symbol on the chest. She looked calm, even though the room was full of powerful beings who did not like humans much. G.N. had come to give a warning. She held a small device that projected her words in many languages so everyone could understand. Members of the Galactic Concordance, she began in a clear voice. Humans ask you to leave our colony on Epsilon Kappa alone. It is ours. We found it, we built it, we live there. If you take it by force, if you hurt our people, we will not forget. Humans will hunt those who did it. We will hunt forever. We do not stop. We do not forgive easily. The room was quiet for a moment. Then Vexar let out a deep laugh that sounded like rocks grinding together. His tail hit the floor hard. Forever, he said, his voice loud. You humans live such short lives. How can you hunt forever? Your children will be old and weak before we finish our coffee. More laughter came from around the table. The Klindra Queen made a high chittering sound, like insects in summer. Her helpers clicked in agreement. A tall crystal being from the Zorath Collective stood up. His body sparkled like broken glass in sunlight. Humans have only flown between stars for a little time, he said. 200 years? We have empires that are 10,000 years old. You have no big ships, no weapons that can break planets. You are cute, like small animals barking at giants. The laughter grew louder. Some delegates slapped their tables or waved their limbs. One small furry alien wiped tears from his many eyes. Ji-un did not move. Her face stayed the same. She waited until the noise died down a little. I repeat, she said slowly, if you harm our people on Epsilon Kappa, humans will come for you. Not today, not tomorrow, but we will come. We remember names, we remember faces, we remember laughs. Vexar leaned forward, his red eyes narrowed. Threats from a young species? Funny. We will take the colony because we need the rare metals there. Your miners can work for us or leave. If they fight, they die. Simple. The Klindra Queen added, your warning is empty. We have seen species like you before. They scream, then they break, then they are forgotten. You will be the same. Ji-un looked at each face slowly. She saw the smiles, the smirks, the bored looks. In the back row sat Min-Suk Kim, a young human attaché. He was quiet, with short hair and dark eyes. He held a small recorder. Every word, every laugh, every rude gesture, he saved it all. His fingers did not shake. The vote came fast. Most delegates raised hands or tentacles or lights to agree. They would send ships to Epsilon Kappa. They would take the mines. Humans were too weak to stop them. Ji-un spoke one last time. You choose this path. Remember our words when the time comes. Her steps were steady. The doors closed behind her with a soft hiss. Inside, the laughter started again. Vexar raised a glass of glowing liquid. To easy victories, he shouted. The others cheered. They talked about how humans would run away or beg. They made jokes about humans' short lives and weak bodies. They did not notice Minsuk still sitting quietly, recording the last cheers. Outside the chamber, Ji-un met Minsuk in a quiet hall. The walls were smooth and silver. Stars shone through big windows. Did you get everything? She asked softly. Every second, Minsuk answered. Their voices, their faces, their words, all saved. Ji-un nodded. Good, send it home. Let Earth know what they said. Minsuk looked at her. Do you think they will listen to the warning? Ji-un stared out at the stars. No. They laughed. That is their answer. They walked away together. Behind them, the council kept talking and planning. They thought the humans were finished. They thought it was over. But on Earth, the message would arrive soon. People would watch the recording. They would see the laughs. They would hear the insults. And something inside many humans would wake up. Something cold, patient, and very hard to stop. The aliens on Nexara Prime went back to their normal days. They ate, slept, made deals. They forgot the small human woman and her quiet warning. They did not know it yet, but the clock had started. A long, slow clock that only humans could hear. The galaxy was big. Time was long. Humans were patient when they needed to be, and they never really forgot. Months passed after the council meeting on Nexara Prime. The aliens did not wait long. A large fleet from the Zorath Collective and the Dominion came together. Their ships were massive, with bright crystal edges and heavy armor plates. They jumped through hyperspace, straight to Epsilon Kappa. Epsilon Kappa was a quiet world. Red dust covered the ground. Tall mining rigs stood like metal trees. Domes held homes and schools. Humans had lived there for 20 years. They dug deep for special metals that made engines run faster and shields stronger. Families raised children under artificial suns. Life was hard, but good. Su-min Lee worked in the main engine bay. She was 29, with quick hands and a warm laugh. She fixed drills and power units. Her daughter Jia, 4 years old, liked to draw pictures of stars on the walls. Su-min's husband, Minho, was away on a supply run to another colony. He would be back soon, she thought. The attack started at dawn. Sensors screamed, the sky filled with dark shapes. Zorath fighters dove first, their crystal wings flashing. Dominion cruisers fired heavy beams that cut through defenses like paper. Human patrol ships, only 12, rose to meet them. Pilots knew they had no chance, but they flew anyway. Explosions lit the thin air. Ground forces landed fast. Zorath troops in shining armor marched from drop pods. Dominion soldiers with thick scales and plasma rifles followed. They blasted dome walls. Alarms wailed. People ran through streets, carrying what they could. In the central habitat, Su-min grabbed Jia and ran to a safe room. The child cried. Su-min held her tight. The building shook. Cracks spread across the ceiling. Air started to leak. She opened the emergency comm. Her voice was steady at first. Earth, this is Su-min Lee, Epsilon Kappa Colony. We are under attack. Zorath and Dominion forces. Defenses failing. Civilians dying. My daughter is with me. If anyone hears this, tell Minho we love him. Tell the council we tried. She paused. Tears came. Do not let this be for nothing. Remember us. A loud crash. The door bent inward. Su-min pushed Gia behind her. She picked up a tool, a heavy wrench. She would fight if she had to. The last thing the recorder caught was her whisper. Gia, stay quiet, Mommy is here. Then static. The aliens took the colony in hours. They rounded up survivors for labor camps. Bodies lay in the dust. The mines ran again, but now under guards. Ships left full of stolen metals. The footage reached Earth on fast couriers. Families watched in horror. Sumin's message played on every screen. Her face, calm, scared, loving, burned into minds. Anger spread. In cities and stations, people stopped what they were doing. Old soldiers remembered past fights. Young ones felt fire for the first time. Governments talked, but this was deeper. In a hidden office under Seoul, Tae-woo Kim watched the recording again. He was 45, tall, with scars on his arms from old battles. His sister died years ago in another raid. He never forgot her face. He called a meeting, 10 people at first, then 20, soldiers, pilots, engineers, hackers. Some had lost family on Epsilon Kappa, others just hated bullies. We do not declare war, Tae-woo said. War is loud. They expect war. We give them something else. They named it Eternal Reckoning. No uniforms, no ranks above what was needed. Just a promise. Every name from that council vote would pay. They studied the recording Min-sok sent. Faces, voices, laughs. They built files. Vexar, the Klindra Queen, the Crystal Delegate, all marked. Teams formed. Small, 5 or 6 people. They trained in secret bases on the Moon and Mars. They learned to move quiet, to wait long, to strike clean. Ji-hoon Choi joined early. He was 28 from Epsilon Kappa. He escaped the attack as a teen. Now, he flew stealth scouts. His eyes were cold when he talked about the colony. Ha-yeon-jung handled data. She broke alien codes. She planted false trails. She made sure attacks looked like accidents. They built ships, small, dark, fast. Engines whispered, hulls bent light, weapons hid inside normal parts. 1 year after the attack, the first team left. Ji-hoon's group. They slipped from an outer dock at night. No lights, no messages. They waited near a Zorath fuel station, weeks in the dark. Then a convoy came. 3 big haulers, like guards. They moved in, attached like parasites, cut inside, placed charges, took data, left ghosts. When the haulers blew, pieces spread across space. Aliens called it engine failure. They cleaned it up and moved on. But more followed. A Dominion admiral vanished from his palace. A Zorath factory burned with no cause. Supply lines broke one by one. The council met. Vexar slammed his fist. Find these rats. They increased patrols. They searched ships. They found nothing. On Earth, Tae-woo added names to the list. Some crossed off, slowly. He thought of Sumin, of Gia now living with grandparents, asking why Mommy did not come home. We keep going, he told his team. They laughed. We remember. The galaxy felt the first chill. Whispers spread. Humans are hunting. Some aliens laughed still, but the laughs sounded forced. Years passed since the fall of Epsilon Kappa. The galaxy kept turning. Stars burned, planets spun. Trade ships moved between worlds like always. But something had changed. Small things at first. Things most people ignored. A Zorath crystal refinery on the edge of their home sector exploded one night. No warning, no attack ship seen on sensors. The blast was so clean it looked like a power core failure. Investigators found twisted metal and burned circuits. Nothing else. No bodies, no clues. Then a Dominion supply convoy, 5 heavy freighters carrying weapons and food, vanished between jumps. They left one system. They never arrived at the next. Weeks later, search teams found the wrecks drifting in deep space. Black boxes played the same short recording over and over. A calmed human voice saying, "For Epsilon Kappa." Then silence. The council met again on Nexara Prime. The chamber looked the same. Bright lights, floating maps, but fewer delegates smiled now. Vexar sat heavier in his chair. His scales had lost some shine. Scars crossed his arm from an old accident on his own flagship. He spoke first. "These are not pirates," he growled. "Pirates take cargo. They leave survivors to spread fear. These attackers take nothing. They kill and vanish." The Klindra Queen clicked her legs nervously. "We doubled guards. We scanned every ship. We found nothing. How do humans do this?" A new Zorath delegate, younger, his crystals still bright, stood up. "Humans do not have the numbers. Their fleets are small. Their technology is behind ours. This must be something else. Rebels, or maybe another species using human names." Vexar snorted. "Do not be stupid. It is them. I watched the recording again. That voice, that phrase, they are hunting us." The room stayed quiet. No laughter this time. Outside the council, whispers grew among workers and soldiers. In Dominion barracks, troops checked shadows more often. In Zorath factories, workers looked over their shoulders. Stories spread. Stories of human ghosts. Men and women who appeared from nowhere, who moved without sound, who waited months or years for one perfect moment. Ji-hoon Choi became part of those stories. He was not loud. He did not boast. He flew a small black ship called Shadowfang. It had no markings. Its engines made almost no heat. It could hide in asteroid fields for weeks. Ji-hoon had been a boy on Epsilon Kappa when the attack came. He remembered hiding in a storage room while soldiers marched past. He remembered his father's last words: "Stay alive, make them pay." Now he led small teams, 5 people at most. They trained to be patient, to watch, to plan. They used captured alien tech, stolen cloaks, hacked comms, reverse-engineered weapons. But the real weapon was time. Humans lived short lives, yes, but they could pass hate from parent to child, from friend to friend. It never died. One mission stood out. A Zorath diplomat named Lyris traveled on a fast yacht through neutral space. He had voted yes on the Epsilon Kappa invasion. He laughed the loudest that day. Now he lived in fear. Guards surrounded him always. Sensors swept his ship every hour. Ji-hoon's team waited in the dark for 3 months. They drifted near a jump point, silent and cold. When the yacht passed, they attached like a shadow. A small tube cut into the hull. No alarm, no flash. Inside, they moved fast. They found the crew sleeping. They tied them up, one by one, quiet, no shots. Then they reached Lyris's room. He woke to see Ji-hoon standing there, tall, calm, holding a small recorder. "You laughed," Ji-hoon said simply. A hand covered his mouth. Ji-hoon played the old council recording. Lyris's own laugh came out of the device. Clear, loud, happy. "For every name," Ji-hoon said, "we keep score." They left Lyris alive, barely. They put him in an escape pod with one message carved into the wall: "We are coming for every name on the council list." The pod drifted to a trade station. When they opened it, Lyris babbled about shadows, about humans who never slept, about eyes in the dark. Word spread faster now. Panic grew in lower ranks. Soldiers asked for transfers. Workers quit dangerous jobs. Some aliens even tried to contact Earth secretly. They offered apologies. They offered money. Earth answered politely. Talk to the council. They made the choice. On Nexara Prime, security became tight. Guards with heavy weapons stood at every door. Scanners checked every visitor twice. Vexar slept with a gun under his pillow. But the attacks kept coming. A Klindra hive ship lost its queen in a sudden decompression. No cause found. A Dominion weapons factory on a moon base burned from the inside. Workers said they saw nothing, just doors that locked by themselves, lights that went out, then fire. Tae-woo Kim watched it all from a hidden base near Pluto. Screens showed reports, crossed off names, new targets. He aged slower than most expected. Gray touched his hair, but his eyes stayed sharp. Ha Yun-jung worked beside him. She handled information now. She tracked every council member, where they went, who they met, what they ate. She smiled when a new death appeared in the news. "They still think we will stop," she said one night. Tae-woo shook his head. "They will learn, or they will die learning." Ji-yoon Park still worked in diplomacy. She attended meetings. She spoke softly. But everyone knew now. When she entered a room, aliens grew quiet. They remembered her warning. They remembered the laughs. Min-seok Kim flew with Ji-hoon sometimes. He carried the original recording. He played it before every mission. A reminder, a promise. One evening, after a successful strike on a supply depot, Ji-hoon sat in his ship. Stars moved past the window. He looked at a photo taped to the console. Soo-min Lee, smiling, holding baby Jia. He touched the photo gently. "Soon," he whispered. The galaxy felt colder. Ships traveled in bigger groups. Leaders stayed home more. The council chamber had empty seats now. Some delegates retired. Others vanished on trips. No one asked too many questions. Rumors turned to fear. Humans do not fight wars, people said. They hunt, and they never stop. A young Dominion soldier asked his officer one day, "How long will this go on?" The officer looked tired. "Until they are satisfied, or until we are all gone." The officer did not know the answer. No one did. But deep inside, many began to understand. The warning had not been empty. It had been patient. And patience was a human strength. Decades had passed since the first ships fell on Epsilon Kappa. The galaxy looked different now. Many old trade routes stood empty. Some worlds closed their borders. Fear moved like a slow wind through space stations and cities. The once proud Galactic Concordance felt smaller. The big round chamber on Nexera Prime had many empty seats. Dust gathered on chairs that used to hold important delegates. Lights seemed dimmer. Voices sounded quieter. Vexar still sat at the head of the table. He looked older. His green scales had turned dull and cracked in places. One eye was milky from an injury years ago. He spoke less now, but when he did, his voice carried anger and tiredness. "We must end this," he said one day to the few remaining council members. "Send every ship we have. Burn their worlds if we must. Crush the humans before they crush us." The Clindra Queen had died long ago, found dead in her own hive, body twisted, no marks on her. Whispers said a human shadow had slipped inside during a routine inspection. No one proved it. Her replacement, a younger queen named Zira, clicked softly. "Our fleets return broken or not at all. Our soldiers refuse long patrols. They say the dark watches them." A remaining Zorath delegate, his crystals faded and dull, shook his head. "We lost 3 armadas already. They do not fight in open battle. They strike and disappear. How do you fight something you cannot see?" Vexar slammed his fist on the table. The sound echoed. "Then we make them come to us. We threaten their home. We gather at their border. We force them to meet us." The others looked away. They knew the truth. Fleets sent toward Earth never came back whole. Some ships returned with crews gone mad, talking about voices in empty halls, lights that moved on their own, doors that opened to vacuum. Others simply vanished. No wreckage, no signals, nothing. Ha Yun-jung now led what remained of human diplomacy. She had gray in her hair and lines around her eyes, but her voice stayed calm and clear. She attended the council sessions when invited. She sat in the same spot Ji-yoon once used. Aliens stared at her, some with hate, some with fear. During one meeting, Vexar pointed at her. "You think this ends well for you? We will glass your blue planet. We will erase your name from the stars." Hyeon looked straight at him. She spoke softly, but every word carried weight. "You laughed at our warning. You took our colony. You killed our people. Now you threaten more. We kept our promise. We are still keeping it." Vexar opened his mouth to shout, but no words came. He sat back, his hands shook a little. Behind the calm face of diplomacy, the real work continued. Sung Ho Yoon led the final strike teams now. He was in his 50s, strong and quiet. He had lost his wife in the Epsilon Kappa attack. He carried her photo in his pocket every day. He never spoke of revenge. He simply acted. His team had grown skilled over the years. They knew alien ships better than most aliens did. They knew guard patterns. They knew weak points in stations and palaces. They waited longer than ever before, sometimes years for one target. The plan for Nexara Prime took 10 years to build. They studied every entrance, every vent, every shift change. They planted agents, some human, some alien helpers, who hated the Council too. They mapped the chamber itself. They learned the emergency codes. They waited. Then, the day came. It happened in one quiet hour. No explosions, no alarms at first, just silence. In the council chamber, delegates argued about defenses. Vexar stood to speak. He turned to point at a hologram of Earth. That was when the first one fell. A Zorath delegate dropped forward. A thin line of blood ran from his neck. No sound, no weapons seen. He slumped across the table. Panic started small. Someone screamed. Guards rushed in. Then another fell, a Dominion advisor. Then a neutral observer. One by one, clean, silent, precise. Vexar roared and pulled his gun. He fired at shadows. Bullets hit walls, nothing else. Lights dimmed for 3 seconds. When they came back, 5 more bodies lay still. Sung Ho's team moved like ghosts through the vents and service tunnels. They wore suits that bent light. They carried silenced weapons and needles that killed without noise. They had studied the recording from decades ago. They matched every face, every laugh, every vote. They reached the main floor. Vexar saw them then, tall figures in black, faces hidden, eyes cold. He fired again. One shot hit a shoulder. The figure did not stop. Sung Ho stepped forward. He pulled down his mask just enough. "You know why," he said. Vexar's gun shook. You cannot kill us all." "We do not need to," Sung Ho answered. "Just the ones who chose this." He raised a small device. A hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed the old council session, the laughs, the jokes, the vote. Then it showed faces. Su Min Lee, Jia as a baby, minors, children, families, names, dates, how they died. Then it showed the list, every council name from that day, crossed off, one by one, some with red lines, some still waiting. Vexar looked at his own name, still unmarked. He laughed once, a dry, broken sound. "You waited all this time, for me?" Sung Ho nodded. "We said forever. Too late." Sung Ho's team moved fast. They took down the guards without killing them all. They wanted witnesses. Vexar tried to run. He made it 3 steps. A needle hit his neck. He fell slowly. His eyes stayed open. He watched the hologram play his own laugh from decades ago. When it ended, Sung Ho spoke to the remaining delegates and guards. "Tell the galaxy, the debt is paid. The ones who laughed are gone. We remember, we always will." They left as quietly as they came. No ships waited outside. They slipped into small pods, hidden in the station's waste tubes. They vanished into the black. The chamber stayed silent for a long time. Bodies lay still. The hologram looped once more, then faded. News spread fast. The council chamber attacked. Most old members dead. Vexar gone. No survivors who saw faces clearly. Only the message. The Galactic Concordance broke apart that week. Species pulled back to their own stars. Fleets stayed home. Trade slowed. No one wanted to risk a new grudge. Earth did not celebrate with parades. No flags waved. People simply went back to their lives. Miners dug new colonies, families grew, ships flew farther. But the story stayed. Parents told children, never laugh at a human promise. They hunt forever. In a small house on Earth's moon, Ji-Yoon Park, now old, hair white, sat with Tae-woo Kim. They looked out at the stars. Tae-woo's hands rested on his knees. Scars still showed. Ji-Yoon poured tea, simple green tea. Steam rose slow. They are gone, she said. Tae-woo nodded. Most of them. Ji-Yoon looked at him. Do we stop now? He thought for a long time. If anyone tries again, we remember. Ji-Yoon smiled a little. Thin, tired, but real. She raised her cup. To Su-min, to Jia, to all of them. Tae-woo raised his. To the ones who laughed, and to the ones who never forgot. They drank in silence. Outside, the galaxy turned quiet. Ships moved careful, leaders spoke soft. No one mocked humans anymore. Because the lesson had sunk deep. Humans did not need big fleets or planet breakers. They had time. They had memory. The galaxy never quite recovered. After the silent hour in the Nexara Prime Chamber, everything changed. The once mighty galactic concordance dissolved like smoke. Species turned inward. Borders closed. Fleets stayed docked. Trade routes that once buzzed with ships now carried only ghosts of old traffic. Aliens spoke in low voices about the humans. They no longer laughed at short lives or weak ships. They spoke of memory instead, of promises kept across decades, of shadows that waited. No one declared victory. Earth did not send messages of triumph. No parades filled the streets of Seoul, or New York, or Lagos. People simply returned to daily life. Farmers planted crops under new suns. Engineers built better engines. Children went to school and learned history. Not the loud kind with battles and flags, but the quiet kind. The kind that said, some debts take time to pay. Some promises last longer than stars. Ji-Yoon Park lived on a small station orbiting Earth's moon. The place was quiet. White walls, big windows that looked out at craters and stars. She spent mornings drinking tea and reading old reports. Her hair was fully white now. Her hands moved slower. But her eyes stayed sharp. She still remembered every face from that council chamber. Every laugh. Every word. One evening Tae-woo Kim came to visit. He walked with a slight limp from an old wound. His hair had thinned, and deep lines marked his face. He carried a small box under his arm. They sat together by the window. The earth hung blue and peaceful below them. Tae-woo opened the box. Inside lay a single photo, Su-min Lee holding baby Jia. The edges had yellowed over time. He set it on the table between them. She would be proud, he said quietly. Ji-Yoon touched the photo with one finger. She would ask why it took so long. Tae-woo gave a small smile. Because we wanted it done right. No mistakes, no loose ends. Stars moved slowly outside. A cargo ship drifted past, lights blinking soft. Ji-Yoon spoke first. Do you think it's over? Tae-woo looked at the photo again. For them, yes. The ones who voted, the ones who laughed, they are gone. Their children rule now. They teach caution. They avoid our space. They do not test us. Ji-Yoon nodded. And for us? We watch, he answered. Always. We build. We grow. We remember. If anyone tries again, the list never really ends. Ji-Yoon poured more tea. Steam curled up. Eternal reckoning was never about hate. It was about justice, about making sure no one else has to hide in a dome while soldiers come. Tae-woo raised his cup. To justice. To memory, Ji-Yoon added. They drank together. Far away, on a rebuilt colony world that once was Epsilon Kappa, Jia Lee, now a grown woman, stood on a hill. Red dust still covered the ground, but green plants grew in neat rows. New domes rose taller and stronger. Children played in open parks under real sunlight filters. Jia worked as a teacher. She taught history to young students. Not the version with heroes and glory, the quiet version. She showed them the old recordings sometimes, the council chamber, the laughs, the warning. Then she showed Sumin's final message, her mother's calm voice, her plea to remember. The children listened wide-eyed. Some cried, others asked questions. Why did they do it? One boy asked. Jia answered simply, because someone has to stand up when others laugh. Because promises matter. Because humans do not forget. After class, Jia walked to the memorial, a simple stone wall with thousands of names carved in. Jia touched it every day. She never spoke aloud. She just stood there. Sometimes she smiled. Sometimes tears came. One day, a young pilot named Hyun Woo joined her. He flew supply runs now. He had joined Eternal Reckoning as a teenager. He flew one of the last stealth ships before the team stood down. They say it's finished, Hyun Woo said. Jia looked at the names. It never really finishes. It just waits. Hyun Woo nodded. He understood. In deep space, a small black ship drifted near an old jump point. Ji-hoon Choi still flew sometimes. Not often, mostly to think. He sat in the cockpit alone. The console lights glowed soft. The photo of Su-min stayed taped where it always had. He played the old recording now and then, not for anger, for calm. To remember why he still checked shadows, why he still trained new pilots in patience. A message came through one night, from Taewoo. Rest, old friend, the debt is cleared. Ji-hoon stared at the stars. He thought of the boy he used to be, hiding in storage while the world burned. He thought of the man he became. He sent a short reply. Not yet, but soon. He turned the ship toward home. Years turned to more years. New generations rose. Some aliens still feared humans. Others traded with them again, carefully, respectfully. No one mocked short lives anymore. No one joked about weak fleets. Stories of the hunt became legend. Parents told them to warn children. Leaders remembered them before making deals. Earth expanded quietly. New colonies, new ships, new science. Humans did not conquer. They endured. They built. They waited. In a quiet bar on a neutral station far from the old council worlds, an old alien trader sat with a human captain. The alien had scales like Vexar once did. Not the same. A different house. A different time. The alien raised a glass. I remember the old days, he said. The council, the laughs. The captain, Sung-ho's grandson, listened. The alien continued. We thought you were nothing. Then, you became everything. The captain smiled thin. We were always everything. You just didn't see it. The alien nodded slowly. Lesson learned. They drank in silence. Outside, stars burned on. Planets turned. Life continued. And somewhere, in the quiet dark between systems, a small device floated. It held one last file. The full list from decades ago. Names crossed off. All of them. The device waited, silent, patient, ready if needed again, because humans kept their word. Forever meant forever, and they were very good at waiting.